Cleaning. Clean all bottles involved in first and second stage fermentation before use. I had a contamination issue 2 years ago, and since then I've gone a little overboard with my sanitization method, but it works. You may not need to clean your jars to this extent, but I will outline my method. The main thing is you don't want to use soap, as it'll mess up the balance of the SCOBY. You'll want to clean your main vessel, the one that houses the mother, once every few months, just so that the yeast bacteria balance doesn't get out of whack. You might notice a lot of debris at the bottom of your jar. That's the yeast. This is okay, but when it starts to build up, you might want to clean it so the culture balance doesn't get out of whack. So always clean your hands very well before touching your SCOBY. Gently pick your SCOBY up and place it into a clean container with some starter liquid. Wash your jar with a very, very minimal amount of natural soap and water. Rinse well with hot water to remove residue buildup in the bottom of the jar. And then rinse it well with hot water 3 times. Fill the jar with hot water and vinegar. Add anywhere from half to 1 tablespoon depending on the size of the jar, and let it sit for a few hours or a day. After it's sat, rinse it with hot water twice and then let it air dry. You can now add your SCOBY and liquid back into the vessel. I use the same method to clean all my growlers and other bottles used in the kombucha process. As the culture matures, you might notice that your SCOBY starts to thicken and multiply, forming multiple layers, usually at the top of the jar with each brew. With clean hands, you can gently pull the layers apart and store extra SCOBYs in a SCOBY hotel, which I'll explain in the next lesson. If the SCOBY doesn't easily separate, you can use a knife or a pair of scissors to cut the SCOBY apart. Just make sure you properly sanitized and cleaned them first. So SCOBY hotels, over time you will start to accumulate SCOBYs as your culture grows and multiplies. And it's a good idea to save these extra SCOBYs just in case your main SCOBY in your main brewing vessel gets contaminated or molds, then you have some backups. So you can create a SCOBY hotel by storing all of the extra SCOBYs in a gallon jar together. And they can often exist in the jar for months before you need to feed or clean the jar to remove excess yeast, because you want to keep the bacteria-yeast ratio in check. To start your hotel, pour some of the starter liquid from your original culture into a new clean jar, and then place any of the extra SCOBYs in with it. Then add your freshly made sweetened tea, and the ratio of the freshly made sweetened tea to the starter liquid should be about 50-50. You can leave the SCOBY in here for months without adding extra sweetened tea or without cleaning the jar. I usually add more food or sweetened tea every 3 months or so. And you can also clean the hotel just when you notice a buildup of debris, so the brown stuff at the bottom, which is yeast, then you can just give the hotel a clean. The liquid in the SCOBY is also great to use as starter liquid if you want to make any new cultures, or you can just give your current culture a boost. Do not store SCOBYs in the refrigerator though. This can kill them or cause them to mold. So here's a look at my SCOBY hotel. As you can see, I've accumulated quite a lot of SCOBYs over time, and I have varying thicknesses of SCOBYs in the jar here. So if you look at the bottom, you'll notice a really thick SCOBY. This is a very mature one. You'll also notice bubbles in between the layers of SCOBYs. This is trapped CO2. And if you look at the top of the jar, you'll notice the thin white layer forming at the top. This is the formation of a new SCOBY. So even though the purpose of the hotel is to store extra SCOBYs, they will continue to multiply if fed